Let me ask you a question, and it might feel a little uncomfortable. Do you actually know what your job is in your business? Not your title, not the brand vibe, not your mission statement, your actual job. Because most small business owners don't. And before you get defensive, this is incredibly common. Almost every client I work with comes to me brilliant, capable, experienced, and unable to clearly answer that one question. They can explain their brand colors. They can talk about their mission statement. They can tell me what they stand for. But when I ask that one simple question, what is your job in your business? They freeze. In this week's episode, we're going to unpack why that question matters so much, what really happens when you don't have a clear answer, and how you can start defining your true role as a business owner so that you can stop being an employee in your own business and start leading your business on purpose. Welcome to this week's episode of Weekly Momentum. I want to start off with a quick story that really brings to life the difference between running a business and being an employee. My husband started his own business as a furniture medic almost a decade after I started mine. And today he's running a thriving business. And honestly, I am so impressed by how he achieved that. Before he even really got going, he reached out to me and he said, "Can you help me think through the vision, the goals, and the strategy of the business? I know it's what you do." So we sat down and did that work together. And then here's the part that matters most. He took it and he ran with it. And yes, he became an excellent technician in his business. He does beautiful work, but he doesn't stop there. He stepped fully into the role of the business owner on purpose, joining the chamber. That was his idea. Becoming an ambassador of the chamber, also his idea. Knocking on doors, introducing himself, building relationships. He did that consistently. And today, almost everyone in the Coachella Valley knows Furniture Medic by Kirk P. Bitter. And it's not luck. He follows up with people within 24 hours every time. He has boundaries around his time, most of his weekends off, rarely working evenings. And he knows when he's the technician and he knows when he's the business owner. Maybe it's his engineering background. Maybe it's just how his brain works. But what I see clearly, he has a very specific understanding of what his job is as the CEO, and he clearly steps into all the different roles in his business that it demands, dedicating time to each so that his business thrives. Most small business owners never get that clear. They stumble into business because they're good at what they do or they're fed up of working for someone else. And so what they end up doing is just hiring themselves as a technician, not building a business. And then they stay busy, they stay reactive, and they stay overwhelmed. And then they wonder why the business isn't growing. Why isn't it going where they want it to go? But if the only role that you're taking on in your business is the technician or the order taker, then no one is leading, no one is generating sales, no one is focused on marketing your business, and you have no direction. This shows up with clients that come to me all the time, even clients that have been with me for a long time. Sometimes people just avoid certain roles that are required of being a business owner. And I'll be honest with you, I cannot make someone do marketing and sales. I cannot make someone follow up. I cannot make someone step into leadership. But those are critical parts of having a business. When you don't claim those roles intentionally, they don't disappear. They just become sources of stress, avoidance, and stagnation. And that's why knowing your job matters and why designing your week on purpose changes everything. Because when you make sure that you're dedicating time to all the roles that your business needs every week, you're setting yourself up for success. Most business owners spend more time figuring out their purpose, their colors, their branding, than actually knowing their role day to day. And when you don't know your job, something very predictable happens. I've seen it so many times. You default to working in your business as the technician. When you don't intentionally decide how you're going to work on your business, you end up reacting to it instead. You end up answering emails all day, putting out fires, servicing clients back to back to back. Not because that's the best use of your time, but because that's how you started. You were the doer, the provider, the expert. So you keep doing and doing and doing until one day you look up and you think, why am I so busy? And why does it feel like I'm stuck? And then you wonder why you don't have time to plan. Your marketing is feeling inconsistent or invisible. Sales feels stressful or sporadic. Growth feels accidental instead of designed. And this is where working in versus on your business and the conversation around that really matters. Working in your business is when you're serving clients, delivering your services or your products, doing the work that you are paid for. I like to think of it as money-making activities. Whereas working on your business is thinking like the leader, the CEO, looking forward, not just at today, making decisions about growth and structure and direction, marketing, sales, systems, and strategies. Most businesses spend more time defining their purpose and their branding than defining their role inside the business. But when I ask, what decisions are you responsible for each week? Where should your time actually go? What work can only you do? Silence. So what happens next is predictable. You default to working in the business as a technician, as I said, because that's how you started. That's where you feel comfortable. That's where you feel useful. That's where you feel needed, where things feel urgent and you get the adrenaline rush of taking care of business. But it's a trap. It's a trap of working in your business. Because when you don't intentionally design time to work on the business, you're living in this reactive mode. You're busy serving, responding, fixing, and then growth stalls. You're going to feel overwhelmed, stretched, thin, and frustrated because you're doing everything, but not the right things at the right level. This is the classic working in versus working on your business problem. This idea originally came from Michael Gerber. He wrote a book called The E-Myth Revisited, which is, I think, a must-read for every business owner. And he highlights the importance of working on your business, not just in it. In fact, he clearly states that the number one reason that small businesses fail is because they're spending all their time working in their business and they're not working on their business. Ultimately, as the leader, the visionary, the CEO of your business, you are going to be spending more and more and more time working on your business and less and less and less time working in your business if you want the business to grow. And once again, working in your business includes client work, deliverables, services, execution. Working on your business includes leadership decisions, planning and direction, marketing and sales strategy setup, system, structure, in and on. They both matter, but without intention, the one of them is going to crowd out the other. One of the most powerful, and yes, it is the most tedious exercise that I take clients through. It comes from my Own Your Time program, How to Design Your Ideal Schedule, and it's called a time audit. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It takes effort. What you do is you track how you're actually spending your time for an entire week, and almost everyone resists it at first. But I'll tell you, every single client who completes it for 7 days says the same thing afterwards. I had no idea where my time was really going. And that awareness changes everything. Because once you see in black and white how much time is spent reacting and how little time is spent leading, you can see where decisions are being avoided instead of being made, how much time is being wasted each week. And you can finally then design a schedule that matches the business that you want not the one that you're stuck maintaining. Tedious, yes. Worth it every single time. I'll drop the link to the program, How to Design Your Ideal Schedule, my online program below, just in case you want to go a little deeper with it. So designing an ideal weekly schedule. This is where weekly momentum really comes in, because each week you have an opportunity to be intentional instead of reactive with your number one asset, your time. And one of the simplest tools I teach is creating an ideal weekly schedule, not a perfect one, not a rigid one, just a template that you can use. And if you don't have one yet, here's a few quick tips. Decide in the week when you're going to be the CEO, even if it's just for 1 or 2 little protected blocks of time where you're planning and reviewing and looking ahead. Even doing the weekly momentum process is you working on your business. And then decide when are you going to be the technician. That's when you're going to work with clients, you're going to deliver services, and this does deserve focused time too. You also want to make time in your week for marketing and sales. They're 2 separate activities. These are not extra tasks. They're part of your job as a business owner. Your weekly schedule should reflect all of that, not just whatever the loudest thing is or the most urgent. Now, from there, the goal is simple. Create an ideal weekly schedule that you can repeat. And then your first step towards it, create a stepping stone schedule. Not perfect, not rigid, just intentional. Let me tell you a little bit more about what I mean by stepping stone versus ideal schedule. Your ideal schedule is maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years out, especially if you're working a 9-to-5 job right now, or you have a small business where you are the only employee. Obviously, you're not going to be able to step into that ideal schedule tomorrow, or maybe not even till a few years down the line. The ideal schedule is the vision of where you would like to be with your time. To move you towards that ideal schedule, you're going to create a stepping stone schedule. What that is it's a move in the right direction, a little adjustment that you could make that would move you towards the ideal schedule. So for example, if you wanted to work 4 days a week instead of 5 in your business as the technician, but right now you're just overwhelmed with business, then you could start out by maybe working a half day on Fridays instead of a full day until you can get to the point where you can hire other people and you can step out of working 4 days and you can maybe even work 3 days or 2 days as the technician. Your stepping stone schedule is still going to include dedicated on your business time, CEO time, thinking, planning, reviewing. And of course, focused technician type, client work and delivery, marketing and sales. But it should reflect your leadership role, not just your workload. One of the easiest ways that I have found to protect the time within this ideal schedule is using something called the Pomodoro technique. Let me give you a quick breakdown of what that is. It's 25 minutes of focused work with a short break, 3 to 5 minutes, which is repeated. These Pomodoros help you plan realistically, stay focused, and create boundaries around your time, but also around the different types of activities working in and on your business. You can use 25-minute Pomodoros to block CEO time off on your schedule, batch marketing and sales, and be able to stay fully present when you're working in the business. If you're interested in learning more about Pomodoros, then head over to my YouTube channel. I've got a whole series that I've created and I'm adding new videos every week, all about using the Pomodoro method in planning your week and also in strategic planning and tips and ideas to help you really embrace this powerful tool that's been a game changer for many of my clients. I'll drop the link below to my YouTube channel just in case you've not subscribed yet. So let's talk a little bit about weekly momentum. Weekly momentum is a habit. It's a rhythm that you create. And I've created a free weekly momentum program that walks you through the entire process so that you can develop the habit for yourself, building in these in and on time blocks as Pomodoros as you go. I'll drop the link below. It includes downloadable planning pages, examples of what weekly momentum looks like as a practice, and also clear step-by-step guidance on how to go through the 4 steps: rewind, realign, plan, and plug into your week. So if you want the full weekly momentum experience, you can go over to the program and download the worksheets and follow the videos. It's the exact process that I use every single week. And it's the same structure that I teach to my private clients and members. And it's a habit that is going to give you a place to start where you can begin to make the shift from being the technician to becoming the CEO and the leader of your business. So another layer in this process that makes weekly momentum incredibly powerful is when you color code your week. Now, I do have a full video on color coding your annual planning, and you can absolutely watch that, but I want to give you the basics here so you can start immediately. So each of the colors represents a different type of work or a different energy. So red is for admin. That's emails, operations, logistics, paperwork. This is working in your business. And then there's green. Green I like to call money-making activities. That's for client work, delivery, sales conversations, and working in the business. So red and green are in the business. Then you have blue. Blue is that CEO vision time, planning, strategy, decision-making. That's working on your business. And then there's purple. Purple is when you're in your zone of genius. It's creative work, thought leadership, deep focus, and that is also working on your business. It's your superpower. It's what you're really great at. Then we have 2 colors that are for your life. Pink is connection. That's personal time around relationships and friendships. And then there's yellow. Yellow is about recharging, rest, recovery. This is non-negotiable as a business owner if you want sustainable momentum. Now, when you add these colors, these 6 colors to your weekly planning, highlighting, something fascinating happens. You can then start to see your week at a glance. And this is where I talk about the rainbow effect, right? A healthy, intentional week usually has a mix of colors. It's not equal, but it's intentional. So if you look at your calendar and it's all red or it's all green, or there's one solid block through the entire week of a single color, then that's a signal and it tells you exactly why you're tired, you're stuck, or disconnected from the bigger picture. You see, color coding is going to show you what role you're playing. It's going to take the emotion out of it and give you clear data. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. You can then rebalance your week without overthinking it. Now, this is one of the fastest ways to check whether you're actually showing up as the CEO or just an employee and surviving the week. Now, weekly momentum, time blocking, Pomodoros, and color coding all work together to answer the one question: am I leading my week or am I reacting to it? So as you're stepping into this next week and stepping up into your weekly momentum, I want you to ask yourself some questions. Do you know what your job is right now? If someone was watching you, would they think that you were the order taker or the CEO? Ask yourself, am I choosing my role or just defaulting to old habits? Probably because you feel stuck or other roles are uncomfortable and you don't know what to do. Ask yourself, where do I need to show up more intentionally as the leader? Momentum comes from clarity. Clarity comes from ownership. And when you own your time and you step into working in and on your business stops running you. This week, you don't need to try to fix everything. Just notice. Notice where you're acting like the employee, and notice where the CEO is missing. Notice what your week is actually asking of you. And then go ahead and use weekly momentum to decide on purpose as you plan your week how you want to show up next week. Because your job isn't to do everything. Your job is ultimately to lead. And when you lead your week, your business will follow. I'll see you in the next episode of Weekly Momentum.